Everybody, hey, it's Marissa Alexander. This is Thinking Out Loud. It is Wednesday. Y'all, please excuse my tardiness. We're going to get into it in a minute. Hope you're doing okay today. For a Wednesday, I think it's getting ready to rain here. So hopefully, you guys stay dry in my home state of Florida. Everywhere else, I think it's pretty much hot. So, you know, hopefully, you'll do that. I don't know if any of you guys have watched any of the Olympics. I initially did. I have not been keeping up with it, but I'm glad to see that some of the athletes, like Simone Biles, have come around, and so that's good to know. Seem like other athletes are doing well, I guess. So that's a good thing. And the other thing is, I really want you guys to be patient with one another and really take care of one another because it's a lot going on in terms of the Delta variant. And so just please be careful out there because it's I am really close to people, and not necessarily like personally, but people that I know that are losing people, and it's just really, a sad thing. So be patient with people and understand there's a lot of loss still going on. So if you're blessed, more power to you. I pray you stay blessed, but make sure you are patient with other people who are not. So last week I talked about insecurities, but like rejection and things like that. So I was going to spend a little bit more time on a few things about like relationship insecurities that are like a big no. And to be honest with you, some of this stuff kind of leads into some unhealthy, toxic, and even abusive relationships. And I think the more that you see of some of the things that I'm going to tell you, you'll know because if you've ever experienced it, because some of them will start out like really minimal and then they'll increase and you'll kind of see that not be a good thing. And so depending if the other person, your partner, is insecure or maybe you being insecure, just know these things are going to kill a relationship every time. And the more a person is insistent upon some of this, more than likely you're in something that's not good, it's not healthy, it more than likely will not get any better. And run like hell now. So basically, that's it. So I'm going to tell you a story about one of the points I'm going to bring up too. It's an interesting story, something I experienced. I don't know how many years it's been now, but I'm going to share it with you when I do tell you about it. But let's just go ahead and get into it. So when you're in like a new relationship and you're starting out, let me say this, it's best not to read too much into everything. I've seen instances where people are just starting out and like they're kind of, all in the other person's phone and kind of watching their movement. So I wouldn't necessarily do that. And other things for that matter. I think what we have to understand is that time will tell. And if somebody is not about what they say they are about, eventually it'll show up. Like at some point, it'll show up. And at that point, you got the information you need, and you can move forward. But um, oftentimes, when we have trust issues, or we have seen something similar, or we've seen a certain behavior pattern that may be similar to what we're seeing somebody else do, we tend to get a little bit anxious and might jump the gun. So I'm just saying, don't read too much into everything. I know us analytical people or some of us who are on guard, we watching to make sure that you don't come with the ball head games. But just kind of take it easy, again, and don't read too much into anything because you may have some quirks and some things that are may be different for that person, and you don't want people kind of like overextending or overreaching things that's maybe not the case. It can get exhausting. So just something to consider. The other thing is don't make assumptions based off your current relationship from a past relationship. Like all that baggage that comes into it, like don't bring that into your current, which is so very difficult because people are so full of it. That's what I've been hearing. And honestly, I sat around with people and I've talked to people for some time. And this is kind of the list that kept coming up in terms of people being insecure and having these really funky things starting out in relationships. So this is kind of where I came up with these top, what, six or so things about insecurities that are really burning these relationships that I know of and that people share with me and people share a lot with me. So don't bring your past relationships if you can help it into your current ones. And if you're doing that, more than likely, You might need to chill a little bit so you can work through that. And honestly, I don't think you're gonna know um, if you're okay until you engage in one, right? So there's not like a little heal meter. It's like, oh, you're better now. You're not gonna compare your past. It ain't gonna happen like that. So more than likely, you're just gonna need to just start out slow, take your time, and then eventually, if you feel that coming up, then you address it, right? But don't make the past somebody else's. If you can help it, don't do that, because like nobody wants to be compared to somebody else. And I mean, literally, they may have some stuff but give it time, it'll show. So don't do that. It can be hard with trust, but stick with it. Stick with it. All right. Let's see here. No mind reading. Let me tell you something. Communication. Everybody keeps talking about communication is the key. Communication is the key. It is. But communication is two way, and hopefully there's not like a lot going on. If you got some other stuff going on, I don't even know what to tell you. That's not what I'm here for. But a big part of communication is listening to. So if I ask you a question, I want to know something, I want to read your mind. I want to give you an opportunity to say what you have to say. Now I'm going to tell you, in my past life, I think I was an attorney, because I want to go back and forth. Not I used to, with things that I'm pretty much going to ask you that I believe I already I know the answer to, because that's essentially what attorneys do. All I'm saying is it's not a good look. Don't do it. You don't know something, ask. I think that's the best way to go about it, because once they give you an answer, then you have what you need. And if that ceases to be something different later on down the line, it's not because you told yourself something, it's because you asked what you wanted to know, and they shared that information with you. The other thing is, whatever information they have given you, you can only go off that anyway. And so if they in the future go a different route or go against that, then you got decisions to make. But it won't come from you mind reading and it wasn't the case. And nobody, I mean, you wouldn't want it done to you, because a lot of times I look like something I'm not thinking. So it's not a good idea to mind read me, because I'm more than likely in the next afternoon of the next week, right? So I'm probably thinking. So I'm just saying, and I could disassociate a lot too. So I could be in some place and completely be in a whole nother. I got to work on that, because I can be not present when I should be, and my face might be showing that. So I may not be looking like I'm having a good time, but I am. I'm chilling. So no mind reading, right? Just ask what you want to know. Don't assume. It's much better for everybody. You know what they say about assuming. I ain't going to say it here. All right, that's another thing. Give each other some room. So once you've given each other some room, you make it through the honeymoon phase. Depending on how things are, you kind of like, you like the person, you want to hang out with them. But, that can get to be a bit smothering. And some of us don't like that. Some of us have a varied range with that. So hopefully you guys are communicating, and we're not being smothered. And I guess that's going to depend, I should say, on like what's your style. I'll speak for myself. I need room to be me. And I'm not saying like I need to go out and like party, because that's really not my thing. But I'm probably gonna communicate with you once a day and hope to see you, depending on like what the relationship is. And then like you guys who are married, because like I don't know, because there's insecurity in some of y'all marriages. From what I understand, it's going down in the DMs, but I'm not gonna put y'all business out there today. So all I'm saying is you might need to give yourself some time apart, so that the absence will allow the heart to grow fonder. You know, I think in terms of unhealthy relationships, what you'll see is somebody restricting, um, or in attempting to restrict your time with anybody else. And that can get to be obviously control, and that can lead to isolation. And that's not a good thing, right? You need to not be isolated. So with everything, there's a polarity, right? So there's a continuum, and what we want to do is be balanced in all of these things. Because too much of a good thing. Obviously, it's just too much of a good thing. So when we spend a lot of time with somebody we enjoy, that's our friend we like, of course we want to spend time with them. We want opportunities to be away from them and have our own thing, have our own friends, have our own business, if you will. And then we can just really enjoy each other when we get back together. I've seen people who start out really hot, hot and heavy. The honeymoon stage is like really, really cute. And then at some point, you're like, oh, God, you kind of like, ugh, and if you ain't giving each other no time to breathe, you're gonna run out of that. It's gonna be like this over exhausting honeymoon stage with everybody you meet. So like get to know yourself and know what you like so that you can, communicate that, and then whoever that individual is can meet you halfway. Because some people just they like that and then some people don't. But that's for you to figure out. Communication. Let me tell you about something else. Um this is a big one. So this one is called Do Not Snoop. Don't listen. Don't go looking for stuff. Let me tell y'all a story. Ready? Like to hear? Here it go. So, oh gosh, it was a couple of years ago. I had a neighbor, and this neighbor was quite the social guy. He was a social guy. He had his own place, and he had quite a bit of company between guys and lady friends. And so he was just my neighbor. We were cool. He had little girls, and my girl. I had well, I had my daughter was around the same time as at least one of his girls, and so he would just come outside and we'll just chop it up. That was one of the few neighbors I actually did get to know because I really don't know my neighbors. And so I known this guy to just be a very social guy. He talked a lot. One time he came over and borrowed a light bulb. One time he came over and borrowed, what was it? A propane tank. Just the old get old neighbor. And on top of that, y'all, there wasn't anything going on. It just was really friendly. And I had done seen him go through several different women actually. Um, with my business, he would come and talk to me about it. We'll chop it up. And so that was that until he got with one particular girl. Um, and I didn't really know much about her, and honestly didn't keep up with the ones that were coming in and all of those things, unless he brought it to my attention. However, there were a few times that she would, come to his house, and me and him would be outside just chopping it up because we didn't really venture into each other's house. As a matter of fact, I don't think I've only been into his house like one time. He had been over there almost 3 years. And so this is just the amount of time that we had known each other and I had seen what he had going on. And so, I don't think she liked that. And, I can respect that. My thing was like, hey, you ain't gotta worry about me. And so, I thought would probably a good idea. So you can, introduce her to me. So, maybe she could see it isn't any threat. Let me explain something to you. When somebody has insecurities, the key word is insecure. It's internally. So it really didn't have anything to do with me. However, I wanted to be very sure that I wasn't adding to that situation. So, I pulled back from time to time because I was like, I don't want that drama. So, we did have each other's numbers because he would watch his, I would watch his place when he went out of town. No big deal. And we didn't communicate on the phone because literally we were neighbors. It wasn't that kind of party until one day. Um, I somehow, I guess she looked through the messages and found some messages, and I didn't think it warranted anything. I'm 100% sure it didn't. But like I said, if you go looking for something, if you snooping, you're gonna find it. Now the question is, have you ever snooped before? I'm gonna put my big girl underwear on. I have done that in my weak moments that I'm not proud of. I don't make a habit of doing that because once you get to that point, you need to you something really going on, right? But I have. I'm not too good to tell you I have. I have done it. Something I keep practice of? No. And so back to my story, she called my phone, but I didn't know it because my phone goes in do not disturb. So when my doorbell rang at I think it was 7:30 a.m. on Sunday, she was at my door. And my son at the time, my twins were living with me, and my son answered the door. And she wanted to speak to me. And I'm like, what's going on? So my son answered and he was like, what do you want to speak to her about? Well, I think she's messing with my they got something going on. My son hung up he slammed the door in her face. He was like, please, you don't try my life. Walk back up the stairs, mumbling, you know, woke me out my sleep. That's what he said. And I was like, yo, for real? So I went and checked my phone, and that's when I saw that there was a number that was calling me over and over, but it was from his number, so it was her. And that's just a situation where, you know, snooping goes wrong. And then you go and approach the other person, and no. So all I'm saying is don't do it. Right? Like, more than likely you're gonna find something that you can quite possibly melt into something else. And if it's there, let me tell y'all something. Whatever's being done in the dark, it's gonna come to the light. It is gonna come eventually. Like, they're not that good. They're gonna keep doing what they're doing. I promise you. Like, it's totally gonna come. So, that's my little story about that particular insecurity. And at that point, me and neighbor really couldn't communicate at all anymore because, you know, I didn't want to be I wanted to be sensitive to the situation because she was kind of like living there, even though that was his house. She was living there, but I'm not that. You know, I ain't like that. I'm gonna have to respect that. You know, she feels some kind of way, so you know, I can't communicate with you. So it was really weird after that, but nonetheless, it happens. And all I'm saying to you is there was nothing, absolutely nothing going on, but that's what snooping took her down that path, right? So all I'm saying is, oh, guys, Snoop too. Don't y'all ain't off the hook. You definitely snoop. You probably not as good as us because women are like so detective about it. Like, we literally should have created a school of snooping, but we're not necessarily proud of it. It's just that we kind of smarter anyway. So that's that. And the last one is trust your gut. Trust your gut. You know, I don't think your gut gonna lead you wrong. You know, and if you're starting to feeling things, you know, pray about it and they will be revealed. Like I mentioned earlier, you know, things in the dark will come to the light. If you're feeling something about something, explore it. If you want to know something because you're feeling it in your gut, ask about it. um and don't, you know, just don't rely on, you know, that alone, but I believe it will reveal itself. But the intuition and like the spirit that's like in the center of us is not for the most part going to lead us wrong. And I understand that feelings aren't facts. I get it. I totally get it. Um, they're valid though, right? So, you know, you just kind of walk your way through that, and at some point, you know, if you're feeling something is not off, you know, ladies, guys, if you somebody is doing a little bit too much snooping, want to ask you, hovering too much, um you know, interjecting themselves in relationships, in, you know, other relationships with other people, not really wanting you, you know, to quote unquote share you, and it's not a mutual thing, you know, you might want to check that, you know. And if after the honeymoon period you like don't like that person, you kind of like, ooh, that was good until it wasn't. Trust your gut. You would cop deuces. And it's best to do that before you done invested all this energy and time, right? Because it's harder once you've done that. But some of y'all real cold blooded though. Some of y'all bad. But I ain't judging you. I'm just saying some of y'all can be like hot and heavy and then ghost somebody like just like that. You know how you are. I'm not gonna put you out there. So that's pretty much it on that, y'all. Just wanted to let you know a few of those insecurities that they are on a scale. I think you can judge it, have a conversation. I have experienced those insecurities in relationships, and not all of them were causing me to bail initially. Um, but I will say, depending on, you know, that person's history, and if you guys getting to know each other and like communicating, and then at some point they kind of show you, you know, through their activity, habit, and their word that they all line up, then you won't necessarily bail at the first thing that causes you some type of heartburn, right? Maybe you could work through that, you know, because relationships are not all butterflies and rainbows. They're not, especially like around after that 8th month time. I swear, like, you know, like Mogwai's water come in and gremlins come out. I don't know. I'm just saying. Think about it. Let me see what y'all talking about in your comments. Hey, Diamond, I love you too. Kisses and hugs. Samaya, facts, all of them. Let's see here. Takesha says that's why we be snooping, knowing it be not trusting, knowing it, but not trusting what we know. Yeah. See, again, you ain't got to snoop. It's gonna come. It's gonna pop right on that. Boop. Yeah, gremlins. I'm telling y'all, that's my analogy for everything. People act like people was born gremlins. Like stuff happened to you, right? Like you remember how sweet the Mogwais were, and he was like, oh, they was all fur, and they was like, don't feed them at the midnight, don't feed them in the bright light, don't let water happen. And guess what the people did? And then all of a sudden they was tearing stuff up 2 and 3 movies later. I'm just saying, we all have the propensity to be gremlins that were previously Mogwais. I'm just saying, nobody's above it. And so just, check yourself. Check yourself before you wreck yourself. It's all love. It is all love. Hey, Miss Pauline. She's so sweet. I met her like once or twice and I could just eat her with a spoon. Hey, Johnny, how you doing? That's good. Let's see here. Looking for what you don't want, you can get your feelings hurt. Let me tell you. Ooh, I got a story about that. Let me tell you that before we hop off this. Ooh, Jesus. So I wasn't necessarily looking for the story, but there was a guy who shall remain nameless. Ooh, it's probably been over 4 years ago. And I'm not much of a Facebook what you call those things investigator, but I associated with people who were. And so my whole thing was, if I understood it what it was, I didn't necessarily lie about what I had going on. Like, yeah, kind of not doing the whole tie down thing, just so you know. So you take that information and you do what you want with that information. But I'm just letting you know my phone gonna ring. I'm gonna answer it, and I'm gonna be floating if you ever hear about it. Not like being busy in a like put what I mean, but just I'm gonna do what I want to do. Basically, that's where I was. I let them know it's the plan. Now, at some point, I guess they was kind of back with the person like that was their ex, which was like completely cool. But you just kind of didn't want to share that information because if y'all kind of back together, then I don't want to be a part of that. Like I don't, you know what I mean? Like that y'all had something serious going on. So it's no longer, I'm just kind of floating too. It's kind of like, yo, we back. So anyway, they was like, no, because I guess I'm not gonna talk to them when they're ready. I was like, okay, cool, whatever. Lo and behold, this person was like, yeah, they got like a whole nother page. I wouldn't have known that, y'all. And they somewhere together, and the girl was like loving up on him, and we together shooting fireworks. And I was like, yo, not that I needed to be shooting fireworks too. Trust me, that wasn't even the case. But yo, like, don't have girls like coming up to me or stuff like that, because that was my whole thing. Please don't have women trying me about you. Like, please don't. Anyway, I found out like, yo, let me show you something, because I know I asked you this specifically. What's y'all? Anyway, let me tell you something. I ain't heard from him since. I sent him whatever the person was that showed it to me, because like I told you, she was a Facebook investigator amongst many other things. And I was like, yo, we talked about this. Just, keep it a buck around here. And nothing. Crickets. As a matter of fact, call it throw the ashes in the sea. They literally, uh, what's the word? Were cremated. That was it. They ain't hear from old buddy again. Right? So you get your feelings hurt. Was my feelings hurt? It was. Because I was like, I thought we was keeping a buck. But it is what it is, y'all. Love is a risk. It ain't 100. I'm just letting you know. But take that risk. Take that risk. It's worth it. It's worth it. The more you know about yourself and the more you're honest with yourself, I think it's better. When you're lying to yourself out in these streets, I think you attract people to lie to. Just a thought. All right, let me see what y'all talking about in y'all comments before we head up out of here today. Oh, hey, Diamonds. Y'all Diamonds again. Make sure y'all support me, sweetheart there. Hey, sweetie. Orite said, bingo. I keep it 100 with you. Keep that ish 100 with me. Hey, listen. And if you don't, or they don't, you know what? It has a funny way of boomeranging back to them. I've seen that happen. I experienced that in my life, but I've also communicated with people like, you kind of was doing the same thing, at some point, like not when their heart was broken, because like when people like devastated, you don't want to be like, told you so. You did the same thing, probably not right then, but that's kind of how it happens. If people don't like, just know whatever you putting out there, it'll come back, right? So like, do your best. That's the reason why I was kind of like, let me just be like honest with you and upfront with you. Yeah, I'm kind of chilling right now, because I want you to have a choice to chill too. You know, as long as nobody to be harassing me and all that and breaking car window doors and all that stuff. Because some of y'all off the chain. Some of y'all in y'all 40s and 50s off the chain. I need to go ahead and get me another show. You know how like Maury, but like 10 times better. But I think I'm gonna put white people on it. I'm just joking. Yeah, I'm just playing. Listen, I appreciate y'all hanging in there with me today. Um, I'm definitely praying for you. I love hugs and kisses. Make sure you take care of yourself and take care of one another. Peace out.